Most business owners measure how important they are to their business as a sign that they've built something valuable. This is completely backwards. The owners who build the most valuable businesses, the ones that attract buyers, run without drama, and give the owner genuine freedom, those owners become the least important person in their business. And in this video, I want to show you why that's the goal and what it actually looks like when you get there. This is going to feel counterintuitive because being needed is one of the most reinforced feelings in business. Every time someone asks you a question, every time a problem gets solved because you were in the room, every time a client says they only really trust you. That feels like success. But there's a difference between the business valuing you and the business depending on you. And most owners spend years building the second thing while thinking it's the first. Being needed feels like authority, feels like proof that what you built matters and that you're the reason it works. But that feeling, the one that comes when the team can't move without you, when the client calls you directly, when you're the answer to every difficult question, that feeling is the trap. Here's the problem. When your business needs you to function, you haven't built an asset. You've built a job. And unlike a job, you can't hand it in because the moment you step back, everything that depends on you stops working. A business that needs its founder or owner to operate isn't just hard to step back from. It's hard to sell, hard to scale, and hard to sustain because the single point of failure is a person, and people get tired, they get ill, and eventually want to do something else. This is what it looks like. The owner who checks their phone at dinner because someone needs a decision. The business owner who cuts a holiday short because something came up and only they can fix it. The CEO who can't hand over a client relationship because the client has made clear they only really deal with the owner. All of these feel like signs that they matter, and they are. But they're also signs that the business can't function without you, and that is a very expensive problem to have. The business isn't valuing you, it's depending on you. And while those feel identical from the inside, they look very different to a buyer, to a bank, and to anyone else assessing what the business is actually worth. Quick pause here. If you want to know how much your business currently depends on you, I've built a free audit that scores it across 12 different areas. It takes less than 5 minutes and it tells you exactly where the dependency lives and what it's costing you. The link is in the description. So if the goal isn't to be needed, what is it? The answer is an inversion that most owners never think about. The best operators become the least important person inside their business while becoming the most known person outside it. Externally, the market knows who you are, what you built, and why it matters. Clients choose the business partly because of the reputation of the owner. New opportunities arrive because of what your name represents. The owner's thinking, values, and reputation are embedded in the brand. But internally, the business runs. Decisions get made, clients get served, problems get solved, and none of it requires founder or the owner to be available. The knowledge that used to live in one person now lives in the business. The relationships that used to route through the founder now involve the team. Think about the businesses you admire, where you know the founder or the CEO's name, but you've never dealt with them directly. You bought their product, used their service, or read their thinking, and their influence was everywhere. But they weren't. That's not a happy accident, that's a deliberate architecture. You're not stepping back, you're upgrading. The founder and the owner stays the most important voice in the room when direction and vision are being decided and becomes less and less required for everything else. That's the goal. Least important is a phrase that makes some owners uncomfortable. So it's worth being precise about what it means and what it doesn't. There are two types of importance in a business. There's importance to direction, the big decisions, the strategy, the vision for where the business is going. And there's importance to operation, the daily running, the decisions that need to get made today, the problems that need solving this week. Most owners are important to both. The goal is to stay important to direction and become unnecessary to operation. When that happens, the owner still makes the calls that matter, the significant hire, the new market, the direction of the next chapter. But once those calls are made, the business executes without the owner needing to be present for each step. Here are a few examples of what this looks like. The owner who decides to move into a new service line and whose team researches it, builds it, prices it, and sells it without the owner managing each conversation. The owner whose clients feel the owner's values and standards in every interaction without the owner being on every call. Or the CEO who takes a month away and comes back to a business that moved forward, not one that waited. You're still the most important person in the business when it counts. You're just not the most required person in the business every day. And that distinction is worth a lot in multiples, in freedom, and in the energy you have left for the things that actually need you. The shift from most required to least required doesn't happen by stepping back. It happens by transferring. Three things need to move out of the owner and into the business. The first is knowledge. All the context, the history, the instincts about how things work here. When that knowledge lives only in the owner's head, every decision eventually comes back to them. When it's documented, recorded, and accessible, the team can operate without asking. The second is relationships. The clients, the suppliers, and partners who deal with the owner personally. Not every relationship can be handed over quickly, but a deliberate process of bringing team members into those relationships over time is what eventually makes the business less dependent on one person being available. And the third is judgment. What good looks like, how the owner thinks, what the standard is. This is the hardest to transfer, but the most valuable when it works. When the team can ask themselves, what would the right call be here? And answer it confidently because the thinking has been transferred. The owner becomes genuinely optional in the daily operations. You know the transfer is working when a team member handles something the owner would have been called about 6 months ago and handles it well, or when a client situation gets resolved without the owner being looped in. Those are just two examples. Here's another. When a new person joins and gets up to speed from what exists in the business, not from a conversation with the owner. It's not that the owner becomes invisible, it's that their influence becomes so embedded in how the business operates that they don't need to be present for it to show up. That's the version of the business that's worth more at exit. It's easier to run day to day and actually possible to step back from. Not because the owner mattered less, but because they transferred what made them matter into something that outlasts their daily involvement. Here's the question I'd ask you to sit with. How important does your business need you to be today? Not to the direction, but to the operation. If you were unavailable for a week, what would stop? What would slow down? And what would carry on without you? The honest answer to that question tells you more about where your business is than any revenue figure or growth rate, because it tells you what you actually own versus what owns you. If you want to map it properly, the 12 chains audit scores your dependency across 12 areas of your business and shows you exactly where the transfer still needs to happen. It's free, takes less than 5 minutes, and the link is in the description. If this landed for you, there's more on this channel about what it actually looks like to build a business that runs without you. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.